on this Wednesday?
Yes, we have very beautiful weather here in London.
Perfect, huh?
Let us know where you're watching this video from. We always love to know.
Okay, so we'll start with our little program of the day. So we start today at 7 p.m. with our beginner class, and today is all about change of direction, which will lead into BOLEOS. And then from 8 p.m. we have our intermediate class for people who've done a bit more, and we'll go into more challenging BOLEOS on both sides. So we'll have a look at the little theory of the BOLEOS so that you can create your own as well. So an interesting tool to create your own BOLEO and sequences.
Good. So let's talk about the schedule before we start quickly.
So this week first, maybe I start. Today of course is BOLEOS. On Friday is our pure technique and styling class. This is 2 workshops, one at 7 and one at 8. 7 is for leaders and 8 is for followers. Of course, we always encourage people to attend both if you can. On Sunday this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. for beginners and 3 for intermediates and up, is our class about dancing in confined or very restricted spaces. This is very, of course, very good for like this time now because we are at home, but also for crowded milongas.
And Tuesday we are back with our lunchtime workout, 12:30 p.m. UK time, to sweat a little workout.
And of course Wednesday next week as well. So this is a very quick program. So should we start?
Yes, let's start.
All right, okay. So as usual, if you're a complete beginner, welcome to join this session. We would like to say a few words about the posture. So have your feet together when you start. A nice stretch upwards to make sure that your head is straight, don't look down. And you're going to make sure that you're kind of stretching between the hips and rib cage to add maybe 1 inch of height. In the process, make sure you don't go up with the shoulders. Shoulders are staying down. And you're trying to kind of keep this posture. So one thing I'd like to mention, if I stretch from the side, is when we start, we are going to go a little bit backward as well. Okay. Can you continue with a little bit on let's start with the followers this time, yeah?
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's have a look at the back step. So what happens is, of course, the shift of the weight indicated by the leader. That's the very first thing. Then once the shift of the weight is towards the floor, I am then liberating, let's say in this case, my left leg. So it's going to give me the intention to the projection, which is going to be towards the back if I'm walking back. Now that leg, the free leg can be turnout or parallel. This is a question of styling. So it's up to you. Now when we are pushing from the standing leg, we are going to transfer the weight into the middle. Now I would recommend to turn that leg towards the inside, so don't leave it open because it's really bad for the joints of the big toe. But turn it in like this, inside. Okay, now we're going to push from the standing leg and we're going to transfer the center into that standing leg, coming back to neutral. Okay, one more time. So indicating the projection. I'm going to push from the standing leg into the middle and pushing, continuing to transfer, taking everything back to the axis. Okay, so I'm going to do it a few more times. Transfer of the weight, projection, push, transfer and collect. Project, push, transfer and collect. So you see that my center is keeping on traveling from the middle into the back. So everything arrives before the next projection. Okay, project, push, transfer, and collect.
Okay.
Tutto bene?
See. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say a few words for leaders. So leaders, what you do when you start, of course, you build this posture. What I would like to add to what I said earlier is that the hips are always going a little bit back so that you don't collapse your hips forward. A bit back here so that you can really be straight, so the hips are above the heels. Now, when you start going forward, we have 4 stages, as we also explored with PAULA. We basically have the same, where we are going to start the projection, the leg is starting to go, and I'm going to push on the heel of my back leg to really go a little bit further. This is called translation, until a point when I'm in the middle, which is called, you'll be shocked, the middle point, how shocking. And then I'm
very
going to,
unpredictable.
very
I didn't see that coming.
I know. And then I'm going to use the back leg and the foot, trying to kind of push with the toes so that I can start collecting. That is the collection. So one thing I'd like to mention for leaders is if it's your first time, when you're in this position and you finish your step, it's very tempting to start going with the torso. Try to keep your torso quite still above the hips, and the legs are doing all the work. The legs, the feet is what is moving us in tango, and we don't use the torso up and down or forward and backwards to help us with the transition. Even if it's a big step, of course we're going to try to make the steps a bit bigger. So I show you again, we project, we push, this is the translation, the back leg stays straight, we are in the middle, this is the middle point, and I'm going to use the back leg to push myself gently forward, including the toes here to collect there. So let's do a few steps around. I'm going to play a song, and we'll start from here. Yeah?
Yeah. You want to do it separately or together?
Yeah, let's do it separately for maybe a few seconds. And
okay.
Then, yeah. So I'm going to play Alfredo de Angelis, one of my favorites.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yes, you do.
You go first.
Yes, you did.
How about the space?
Alright, okay, here we go. So leaders, stretch, hip back, nice here, forward, and I'm going to start with pushing on the left leg. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I always push on the back leg. I receive my weight on the heel. And I keep opening the space between my legs to create some energy that I'm going to transmit to my partner. I make sure when I arrive on my front leg that my leg is straight and I don't start bobbing. My chest is keeping at the same level at all times. BOLEOS.
So like Bruno was saying, and this is a little bit challenging because the space is very, you see? Okay, so what happens here, I really try to push from that forward leg and go through the projection. Actually, can I try it with you because spacing wise makes much more sense. So project and push, 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 push.
Should we do the embrace?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're in a couple, if you're with someone, we'll show you how to build the embrace. If you're a solo dancer by yourself at home, we like you, if you're a leader, to extend your left this way and your right around. Imagine that you have someone here, and if you're a follower, the opposite, the right arm is extended and the left is around. Okay? If you're in a couple, you invite with your left hand, the right is going around her shoulder blade, so this is where I connect here. If it's your first time, you can keep it a little bit open if it's making things a bit easier. If not, if it's not your first time, I would like you to try starting to close your embrace a bit. Know that the part between my hips and ribcage is always stretching upwards here. So I'm kind of lifting my partner in the embrace and lifting her with the chest.
So there is a little bit of body weight, just a little bit towards each other, so that the leader can communicate through that pressure where the weight is, yeah?
I'm going to transfer my weight from side to side, and I'm going to very frankly push forward this way. Music.
A bit music.
Okay, here we go. Let's do it together. And repeat. have one more thing to ask to leaders to try to do is the fact that when you're going forward, you're going to use a bit of dissociation. What does it mean? It means that as I go forward with my right leg, my left shoulder is slightly going to the side here. So it's a bit of this here. If I go with my left leg, the opposite shoulder, the right, is going to go gently to this side here. So there's always a constant opposition in my body. If I go with one leg, the opposite shoulder is coming forward at all times.
So that means it would be the same for me, yeah? It would translate in a little bit of twist.
Exactly. That means for the follower, if you go back with your whichever leg, the opposite shoulder is going backward as well. Yes? If you kind of show it to the camera, it's
so
here.
not this way, but this way.
Maybe this way. Of course, it's gentle. It's a very soft level of dissociation.
Yeah, it's very little.
It's very, very little because any more dissociation and it starts to signify to have a meaning, especially as we see
Can be
pivot
misinterpreted.
or turn. Yeah? So let's do a few more steps together with this dissociation and then we'll carry on with what we have prepared for today. Okay, here we go. So, let's have a look at what you have planned for today. We'll have a look at the backward ocho atrás, and then we'll see how we can decorate a little bit for followers and leaders, because what we'd like to show you is a change of direction, which will ultimately lead to the boleo. So let's have a look at the forward ocho. So I'm going to start for the leader, and then we'll very quickly have a look for the follower. So the forward ocho is basically a step. Maybe I show you first, where you're going to have your partner pivot in front of you. Pivot in front of you. This way. Yeah, this is the backward ocho atrás. And of course I need to lead it so that she understands what to do. So I'm going to go and step on my left leg. For now, of course, you can use both legs for the backward ocho, but for now I'm going to stop with my left leg and I'm going to dissociate to the right. Sorry, to the left. Here. So I'm going to dissociate on the same side as where I put my leg on the floor. So if I stop on my left, I'm going to dissociate to the left here. She's going to start pivoting this way. I change my weight and I'm going to keep my dissociation and go sideways. So let me just say one little word about dissociation. I think it's here.
Oh, we haven't used in a while.
Absolutely. So this is symbolizing my shoulder line.
I better move myself a little to the side.
It's quite short, don't worry. Don't be afraid. You're safe, you're safe. Okay, so here it is. If I have my hips and my shoulders parallel to each other when I start, as I'm dissociating, the hips are going to stay where they are, whilst the shoulder line and my torso is going to take a different angle, if you like. This is how I build it. From here, or from here. So I have three positions for my dissociation. It's neutral, to the right, and to the left. Now, if you're a beginner, what's very, very tempting to do is to start having this kind of pivot, but look what happens with my hips. I go with my hips. Try to be a bit more precise where your hips are staying where they are, and it's just this movement here happening. If you're a bit more advanced, what I would like you to try is to have your hips going to the opposite direction, even by half an inch, maybe even like 1 centimeter, it doesn't matter, very, very small amount, but the opposite way. So if you dissociate to the left, for example, the hips are going, this hip is going to the right in a contra movement. You can't probably see it on the camera, but there's a very small movement to the other side here.
You can definitely see it from here.
Yeah?
I can.
You can?
Promise you, yes.
Good. That's good news. Why is it important? Because otherwise the hips, is very difficult to maintain the hips and to have the awareness of having these hips maintained, and it's very, very easy to start doing this here, where we go with the hips and we think we're associating, but we are not, we're just pivoting on the leg. Good, so this is how it works in terms of association, and I'm going to show you from this angle. I'm going to go leaders left forward, I stop on my left, which means my right is not used, it's actually the free leg, and I'm going to pivot, or to use my dissociation, sorry, by pivoting my torso towards the left ear. At this stage only, I change my weight gently, and I start projecting to the left with the left leg, and I go all the way to the other side. Now, at this stage, I'm still dissociated, my torso is still turned to the left, my hips is still towards my partner, and I'm going to start collecting, and I'm going to start dissociating to the other side. Boom. Now, at this stage, I need to go around my partner to make her understand I want her to pivot 180 degrees, and I do it on the other side, and so on, and so forth. At the end, I go back to neutral, I change my weight one last time, and I go forward. Follow us.
It's my turn.
Here you go.
Okay, so let's start with the weight on the right here. And then what I'm going to do, just start with a few pivots. I'm going to keep my upper body to the bar, or it could be to the wall, to your partner. And then from here, I'm going to keep the weight onto the right, just for now, to do a few pivot exercises. And I'm going to go into the other side, but I'm going to keep my upper body still. So there is a little bit of counter movement in order to be able to keep my upper body still facing the same way, with the lower part of my body turning 180 degrees. Okay, so let's do a few more times. Pivoting this way and this way. Okay, let's change leg, weight onto the left leg and pivoting. Left and pivoting right. One more time, weight onto the right, pivot left, pivot right. So now let's have a look at the actual backwards ocho. Okay, so what's the backwards ocho? It's a back step with a pivot. Okay, and of course we have the disassociation with it. So we would start with a projection as we would go to a back step, and then I would get as much push as my leader is leading me towards that push of the standing leg, and I'm going to transfer. Now I'm going to transfer, and my weight has to arrive completely onto the standing leg before I start my rotation. So it's important that I don't try and initiate the rotation from the middle, but I really fully arrive onto that standing leg. Now I'm going to bring that foot in as I start pivoting with my standing leg, and I'm going to face the other way. One more time. Project, push, transfer, arrive, and pivot. Project, push, transfer. Make sure you arrive first, collecting, and pivoting. One more time. Project, push, arrive, and turn.
Alright, nice. Okay.
Is it?
It is.
Good.
You know, I kind of feel a little bit like I am in Back to the Future. You know this film where you can go back and forth in time? Because I'm looking at the monitor here, which is streamed from YouTube, and there's a 6-second delay. So I have your real version here and have your digital version, and 6 seconds. So I know exactly what's going to happen on the screen before it even happens. That's magic.
Oh.
Anyway, alright. So let's do it together. If you're a solo dancer, we'd like you to practice your respective technique. Otherwise, if you're a couple, get together. You're going to stop on your left leg. You have associating to this side here. You take your partner here, and your partner here, and your partner here. So, now, one little thing that I would like to mention to both leaders and followers. Leaders, it's very tempting to start using your arms a bit too much. Try to focus on your back, doing all the lead. And for follows, maybe have a nice
That's
connection.
a very, very good point, because a lot of the time the use of the arms is not helpful, okay? So you need to keep the unit of the embrace, so you have to keep her in front of you. I'm talking for the leader, so him, her doesn't matter. You have to keep your follower in front of you. But if you use your arms too much, you want to send them away of that inside space of the couple. But when you work with the back, and then we have the pulling this way, you're keeping your shoulder axis in the same place, you see? So let me show you this way. That means you are not invading the space of your follower, and you're not sending them away. So it's a very good point.
It is a super good point, I know.
Okay, should we
I
show
thought
it?
it was. Okay, so we are going to show you one more time, maybe with a few seconds of music, and then we are going to add a little decoration for followers to know what she does with her foot. Interesting. Alright, let's do it. I will start with a few steps forward first. And here I'm going to stop on the left, use my association here, and I'm going to push on this leg, and push here. And here I'm going to do it one last time. I go back to neutral, and I go with the left leg in this case. So I have to turn because of lack of space. Let's do it. Facing the camera for me. Here. I'm associating. And here I'm going to do one last here. Go back to neutral. And then I shut my leg one last time. And if I go. Without stopping. I'm using a cross, manage the corner. And again, cross, manage the corner. You don't have to worry too much about it. Okay, alright. So, let's have a look at what the follower can do to have a bit of decoration with her feet.
So there's a few things. I'm just going to give you one suggestion. If you want more adornos, you are welcome to join our Friday Technique and Styling class. 7 p.m. leaders, 8 p.m. followers, just saying. Alright, let's have a look. So, there is different places where I can do the adorno on my ocho back. But in this case, I'm going to choose to do it before the pivot. So I'm going to bring that foot in, and quickly out. So I'm going to bring it in, out, with a little intention of rebote, in, out, and now I'm going to pivot. Okay, I repeat to the other side. Here first, it's important to arrive completely. Never try and do an adorno in a middle position because you have to have that free leg completely available. Okay, so we have in, out, and turn. In, out. In, out. We really try and keep the hip as the little involved as possible, because the movement happens from below the knee, you see? So we have this, cross and cross, and I have both of my knees together, so not space in between. Okay, so knees together, and then my pivot. So I'll show you one more time. In, out, in, out.
Okay, I'd like to add one little thing on this note. If ladies, it's your first tango lesson and you just have received your tango shoes by post.
It's a very, very happy moment.
This is a very happy moment. And the post is still working, so it's very good. Make sure that you don't secure the foot. That means you don't end up with your foot in this position here. The foot is really here for one simple reason, or actually two, because of design, and also because the heel can actually scratch your own foot. So make sure that the heel is really going around here. Yes, it's not. There's no like funny movement of the foot going in and out. You just keep your foot right where it is. And the ankle is still, it's not, you don't use the ankle for any lateral movement.
Yeah, so basically what happens, if I bring the leg up, I show you, we don't do it up, but just to show you. So it's one side and to the other. The movement is from the knee, you see, from below the knee. And so we don't do anything from the toes or the ankles. So
nothing funny. Nothing
funny. Yeah, in, out, in, out. You can also try, this is an exercise, okay? So you can do in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, and then try several times also with the other leg, in, out, in, out, in, out. You see there's no space between the legs. Keep it very tight.
Good, okay. So, for leaders, you can do this little decoration which is quite simple. It will take just a few seconds. As you go forward, so as you go to the side, you bring your foot not here, but there, to have a little piqué to the back here. Up as you go. Piqué and pivot. Yes, so the piqué is not here, it's a little bit back. I show you from this angle, it's here before you open. Be careful that you arrive in axis first before you do your little kind of decoration, and you go, bam, and you go. What I would like you to make sure that you do is little piqué, collect, and go. What does it mean? It means you don't do this, because here you start stumbling. So always pass by your axis, in and out. Yet always pass by this stage here. So let's show you quickly how it looks. And then you can actually do it with us together.
Okay.
So, I'm coming here, and both leaders and followers can do their decoration. If you're too dancer, you can practice them. Otherwise, in a couple, you can do it here. Up and go. Up and go. Up and go. Here we should very slowly. If the music is playing, of course, it's going to be a bit quicker. Let's have a look. Okay, now, there's one more thing I can show you for leaders. It's very, very similar. It's not a piqué, it's a back cross, which looks like you're going, and you bring your foot in, before, out. In, before, out. In, and out. In, and out. Let's have a look. Music playing.
Okay.
additional thing that I would like to show to leaders is the fact that you can do your ochos without turning anymore. So once your partner is facing the left-hand side, you're going to do a few back and forth, and she's going to play with the occasion, the opportunity to adorn. So I'll show you here. You're going to do this backward ocho, and here you're going to go back and forth, decorating or not, as a leader.
So you can bring that in and then back. So you can cross forward
Or here,
and back.
or backwards for you, or piqué, up, back. And you finish with neutral position, you change your weight to the right leg, and you go forward with the left leg leaders. So let's have a look with the song. Yeah, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So let's try together. I'm going to start with the left leg. And of course you can combine with what we did last Sunday, which is a follow show, which would be here. And the ladies can combine with what we did last time, which is a little decoration with the back foot, trailing behind.
So trailing behind, moving it in, and then going against the projection.
Okay, good. So this is in its simple form the backward ocho, which we mixed a little bit with what we did last Sunday, which is the forward ocho. I have a little variation for slightly more advanced leaders who've done a bit more than just a few lessons, where we're going to do the backward ocho, but we're not going to do side step only. We're going to go forward, change, and side. Every time I go forward, before I go forward, I have a little rotation of the hip, not the torso. The torso stays here, the hip goes there. And then I go forward and side. Forward and side. Forward and side. We go a bit further back. I start to the left, forward and side. Let me show you back to the camera. I go little rotation to the left. I go forward with my partner. I have a little rotation which puts me back facing her. I change my weight and I go side here. Little pivot, I go forward to the right. I change my weight again, have a little rotation, and I go to the left here. Of course, I still have to do the actual lead for the backward ocho, because otherwise she will not know what to do. So I need to synchronize my lead and my footwork here. Now, a little tip for all leaders. Often, what works best in tango, and it's a general rule, of course there are exceptions as usual, but most of the time, what you do is you lead first your partner to do something such as a pivot, and then you carry on with your own footwork. It works much better than doing the opposite, because your footwork is going to send some information if you change weight and so on, and she's going to be confused. So best to take care of your partner first and then your footwork. Let's have a look.
Yes, I really, really like that. Always take care of your partner.
Always take care of it. Exactly, right?
Always.
Oh, no, it's
true. It applies anytime in any situation.
In tango.
In tango, of course.
Otherwise, I can't comment. It depends.
Yes.
It depends. No, I think it
All right.
is.
So it's important that whatever happens with the lower body here of the leader, you have to keep your follower doing the same thing. So the leading has to be the same as before. Do you agree?
Yes, except I have a little change here. Is my partner is going to rotate a tiny bit less to the left than to the right. So she's going to do a little bit of a zigzag, tiny, because I need a little bit of space, and it's actually a little bit more convenient to do a tiny zigzag here, slightly forward, than to do a complete side step. It's up to you, but you see it actually works a little bit better if there is a little bit of an angle here. So let's have a look. Here, I do my little pivot, I move my torso, my hip, sorry, and I go with her this way. See that now my leg going forward is not my left but my right. Before I send her around, I straighten up, I change my weight, and I do the same as before. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and so on and so forth. So as you see, if we actually go a little bit further back, the timing is very important here. This is actually the only thing which is a little bit absolutely a bit tricky is I need to pivot her first, and then only I allow myself to pivot. Can you see the timing here? Let's do it again. Lead first, and then I pivot my hips. I go forward, I lead her, and I change my weight. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and so on. Yeah? So this is a nice variation of around the backward ocho. It's a bit more complicated. We'll actually review it a little bit more in the next class, but basically it's something that you can try. And of course, some of you might think, well, does it actually work only with the right going forward? Of course not. You could also go forward to the left and change, and forward to the left and change. It's entirely up to you leaders to play with the backward ocho. Right, should we show it one last time?
I think so.
Alright, let's do it. Here. Pivot of the lady, or the follower I should say. Quick pivot of the hips. We go right forward, leaders. Now I'm going to start pivoting her. As she pivots, I catch up with her. I change my weight, and here I'm going to do a side step. Here. and there, and here, and here, and here, and here. So, okay? So.
There was a question actually, I checked.
Yes.
From Asta. She asked me whether for the follower was different, so the upper body would be still and there was a movement of the hips for the pivots. And if you agree with me, I would say that there is also some movement in the upper body, but there is counter movement because we need some movement in order to be able to make the hips turn as well. Yes, so let me show you this way. So if we have the arrival, let's say here, now what happens here is that I'm going to start with my upper body moving, left shoulder and right shoulder, but it's very small. It's just enough for me to create resistance in the upper body, in the frame, to be able to pivot to the other side. So, even though the most visible movement is from the hips, turning 180 degrees, there is still a little bit of movement in the upper body, but definitely less. What do you think?
I think absolutely. I think the key here is to try to isolate, or some might say dissociate, between upper and lower part of the body here, which is really the holy grail of tango, isn't it? So
yes.
Really having a constant element of the body pivoting, turning, moving, doing something, whilst the other is waiting for its turn.
The whole body is moving. There is not really one part that is completely static, but I would say the hips are the most active element in terms of movement in this moment.
Exactly. All right. So, should we maybe
yes,
close?
we can wrap it up.
Yes, so let's wrap it up. So, basically, a couple of things we'd like to say. So, we'll be back in about 50 minutes, but before we are going to do a little demonstration, so don't leave just yet. Well, maybe I can show you here.
So guys, this is our only source of income at the time being. So we would really appreciate, please go and buy a ticket now. So it gives us something for us to continue doing this.
And this is the first link. This one here is where you can actually connect, and you have a couple of options to buy tickets. So whichever is more convenient for you, right here. And it's really important for us, of course. Most of these lessons we have sometimes up to 80 or 100 people, and we just found out that actually out of these 100 people, often only 20 or 25 buy tickets, so we really kind of count on you to buy tickets. And then here is, if you cannot, because of the situation with the virus, unfortunately, please take a few seconds to leave a review at tangito.co.uk/review, right here. Okay. Should we do a little dance?
Yes, but wait, I think you're forgetting some information.
Of course.
If you guys happen to be Instagram fans, and if not, why not become one today? So, Tangito Academy, the newest, freshest page. I think it's 2 weeks old, I believe.
It is.
So it's a really nice new experience, and of course my page, PAULA, Tango, been around for a while. We post video clips almost daily, if not daily, with tons of information. So it'd be good to see you around there. So do follow us and like our stuff. That'll be great.
And I have something I'd like to say about this.
Okay, all right.
Paula posted a very, very funny video about us preparing the class. So if you want to see it, it's just fresh from an hour ago, not even that, half an hour ago, on Tangito Academy or PAULA DUARTE Instagram accounts. So have a look if you want to have a laugh. And then finally, this is where you can find all these classes, and you can actually have a look at the other ones. So if you want to have a catch up on what you've done in the past,
and last but not least, if you haven't subscribed yet to this YouTube channel, we would really, really appreciate.
Okay,
yes.
It's done.
Okay.
Right. Are you happy with the Angelis?
I think so.
Okay, all right, that's good.
We shall see.
Thank you so
All
much,
right,
guys.
guys, see you in about 10-15 minutes. Have a nice break. We see you very soon.
Okay, see you for the BOLEO class at 8 o'clock.
are back!
Welcome back to your Wednesday evening class, Tango.
I hope you guys had a great break.
And we are streaming live from London.
So let us know where you're watching this clip from, if you're new, if you just joined the second class.
Because we always love to know where you're from. So we had quite a few people from different places, as far as Colombia, Argentina,
Yeah, Tanzania,
Syria, New Zealand. For us, it's heartwarming to see where you're from.
Very much.
So thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you guys.
So this is your intermediate slash advanced class for BOLEOS. We're going to have a look at the structure of the BOLEO first, and I'd like to have a little introduction on BOLEOS. Let's say it's a little tool that you can think of when you want to categorize in your head the BOLEOS. Because of course, if you see like different BOLEOS, you might not kind of relate one to the other. But actually, there are only 4 dimensions in BOLEOS. Okay, you have basically what I would say is the dimension of which leg you're using for the follower mainly. So is she doing the boleo with the left or the right? This is your first dimension. So let's say it's the leg, if you like. The second dimension would be the energy, if it's contra or in favor, which means basically if you are going against your partner to give her the impetus for the boleo, or if you are accompanying her with the movement here, which might be a bit different. Then you have if it's as part of a rotation or not, because we'll see there is also a way to lead a linear boleo and not a circular boleo. Most boleos are circular, by the way, because they are very, very kind of common, and I think it's one way to lead them, right? And of course, the last one I'm going to keep it for later is relative to body positioning relative to each other. So let's have a look at our first boleo, and we're going to show you first a few times from different angles, and then we're going to give you a few exercises for you to practice. Remember, it's always welcome. We always welcome the solo dancers. This is why we prepared some exercises for you to try. Our recommendation is, if you like the exercise, continue practicing, because 5 minutes or 7 minutes of exercise is not going to be enough to really master, especially a complex topic such as a boleo, right?
That's right.
Boleo, for some people, take a lot of time to really feel inside. There's a body mechanics which is sometimes complex, so we recommend that you continue on your, let's say, morning routine. Replace.
When you're brushing your teeth, boleo, 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 boleo.
Yeah, maybe not when they have data, because it could be a bit dangerous, no? How about when you're answering to the phone, to your boss, no?
They can be
this
a bit
is better,
weird.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, whichever is fine. All right. So I'm going to show you the first boleo we have in mind, and then we are going to get you through in terms of the technique. So I'm going to lead a back roadshow, which is a nice transition from what we just did in the beginner class. A few back roadshows, and then here I'm going to lead the last pivot, and I'm going to change the direction. So let me show you from here. I'm coming here, and I'm going to finish simply with a parata. So this is what it looks like. Maybe we show it the other side.
Yeah, of course.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6. Good. So let's have a look at the boleo, shall we?
Yeah, of course. So what happens with the boleo is a quick change of direction, in this case during your ultra back. So we have ultra back, and if we will continue on to the next one, there will be no change of direction, but continue in the same direction. Now what happens if there is the moment that I'm facing my partner, instead of him continuing on to the next step and repeating, he could then bring the rotation on the opposite side. Okay, I'm showing you one more time. Of course, it can change how much energy I get from the leader. It can translate into me having that free leg going into boleo on the floor, I would have a little bit more energy, then this could happen. Now in both cases, both of my legs are together in the sense of in relationship left and right, so there's no gap in between, and slightly crossing behind, so it's going a little bit even further than the natural alignment of the hips. So if I will show you this way, you see that whenever I have a boleo here, well in this case would be this way, that there is no space. You see that the leg is slightly crossed, and if I have the chance, both knees are together, and in that space of the standing leg, there's a little bit of space behind the knee. I can then have that as a reference of how my leg should be in the distance comparing to the other leg. So instead of feeling a gap in between the knees, I would try to really go behind the knee of the standing leg. And it doesn't matter if I'm doing it on the floor here or in the air. Always coming back through that collection before the projection of the next step. So really having that clarity.
Okay, so let's have a look at what the leader does that produces this boleo. So basically, we have the boleo on the other leg on Sunday. So this is a new boleo because we changed leg. As I said, we have 4 dimensions. Remember, the leg, rotation, energy, and of course the last one I said, I'm going to show you a bit more. It's back boleo or front boleo. We are going to have a look at this a bit later. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm going to lead my partner into a backward roadshow. And as she's on the left here, I'm going to start rotating her as if I want her to do another backward roadshow, except I'm going to rotate only by 45 degrees, and immediately I'm going to go back with my torso. So this is how it looks. Here, let's do it together. Dissociation to the left here, make sure that your hips are staying where they are. You project, dissociation, you project, dissociation here, and then it's pam pam. So it's 45 degrees and coming back here. So it's very, very important. 2 things need to happen. First of all, you can't lead it too slowly. If it's too slow, what will happen is she might actually start transferring the weight a little bit backwards, or even worse, she's going to start having the back foot on the floor, and then for her to come back is going to be a real challenge. So the speed is not extremely fast, but it's actually short. The second thing to consider when you do your boleo here is to make sure that you're pulling from the back and the entire frame is coming with you. You don't push with the right leg leaders. The leader's right hand and right arm is not pushing her because she will actually topple over. She needs to be feeling you're pulling her instead. There's a lot of movement in tango where the pull is more efficient than the push, because push is pushing her away, as we mentioned earlier. Here is more you're pulling from the shoulder blade back here. Be careful, I'm not saying that suddenly the arm goes wildly back here. You're pulling from the shoulder blade so it has a movement backwards. And of course, for this to happen, I like to add one more thing, is the follower. If you allow me here, this arm is going to be very important to be engaged and active at all times. Let's say that you completely relax this and you don't engage it, it's not going to work because this movement here is going to be lost and there's no way for me to make a change of direction.
So you have to connect followers, leaders of course as well, but followers, you have to connect your arm, your right arm, and the left as well, always to the back. So any movement that happens in the back, which can be generated by pushing action or pulling action, in this case is a pulling action, you need to make sure that the movement happens from the shoulder blade and is happening on the shoulder axis, not outside the space of the alignment of the shoulder.
Yeah, so this is very, I call it the universal principle of tango. When we push or when we pull one part of the follower's body, she or he will respond with the same intensity against my lead. If I push here, she pushes back. But Interestingly, if I pull here, she pulls back.
So we can keep that space the same, you see? We're keeping as a unit because we are matching the resistance that we are giving and receiving.
This is a very, very important principle, and it applies to pretty much every part of the body except one, which is?
I have no idea what it's talking about.
Not your hair, no, the head.
Oh, really?
The only thing that doesn't happen in tango is if your partner pushes you a bit too much to the head, just say, could you please stop pushing me with the head. If you push back, it becomes more and more unpleasant.
If she will be, or she or he will be that polite. Not to give the ring.
So, that's actually very important here. If I pull here, followers, make sure that you pull back so that the information I give to you here is transmitted to the shoulder blade, to the spine, and ultimately to the hips. This is why, as soon as I get into my outro backwards leaders, I'm going to add a tiny bit, I repeat, a tiny bit of extra pressure to warn my partner, please give me something a bit more here. If I'm completely relaxed here, and then suddenly I do this, she's not prepared, and the signal is too quick for her to react with the appropriate response. So therefore, I have to work a little bit before, have a tiny bit of compression, so that the lady knows that she needs to have a bit more engagement of the frame, so that she can be more reactive, and therefore she can get the boleo.
It's very, very important that my right side and my left side of the embrace are always present, so I can feel what is happening. Is it pushing or pulling? So in this way I can react quickly to the lead. But if I'm not really engaging with the back and the upper body, I'm not going to have the speed to react as fast as I need, yeah?
Exactly.
And also that he needs.
Remember, on Sunday, it was an interesting kind of parallel to do, because on Sunday what we did the other leg, and what actually happens there is a push to actually create the boleo. Look at what happened on Sunday. We are doing this boleo here, where I'm going to go around, and I'm going to push her there, and therefore this push is transferring to the hips. This time it's the opposite, I'm pulling her, and therefore she pulls back, therefore she can receive the signal in time from here and there. Now, one thing that also I would like to mention to leaders is make sure, leaders, that as you bring her to do the boleo, you give her enough time to complete the boleo. What you don't want is to have a boleo and then suddenly her crushing forward. This is a no-no, isn't it?
It's a no-no.
It's a no-no. It's a no-no, thank you. So you're here, you're going to lead the boleo, and here you wait until she's basically facing you and you go together back. Now, in terms of footwork, I'd like to mention one thing to leaders. Maybe this position is better to see. I'm going to do my boleo. My weight is on the left leg here, and I'm going to go right, but because she's on this leg, we are in cross system. So we have a couple of options. Either I'm going to end with a parada, leading my right leg forward, or what I can do is 2 steps backwards, my apologies, with a quick change of weight in between. Let's have a look. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, boleo, back, change, and back with the same leg, which is the right leg for leaders. Yes?
So just remember that the boleo happens on axis, so it's not a displacement. Therefore, anything that happens has to come back before you displace onto the next step. So leaders, please help the followers to make sure that boleo can happen on axis. Do you agree?
I agree completely. But what I would like to say, what are four dimensions here? One, the first dimension is she's doing the boleo with the right leg, so it's a right boleo. It's a back boleo because she goes back and not forward. It's a boleo a contra because I kind of stand in one direction and suddenly change the direction. And of course, the timing is together here. Okay.
And circular, but I think
Sorry, circular. Yeah, my apologies. So these are our 4 dimensions. So let's do maybe like a few seconds of dance. We're going to demonstrate it a few times from a few angles. Solo dancers, we recommend you are practicing either for you leaders. This movement here, I'll show you one more time. This movement for the leaders is 1, 2, and then 3. Remember that this is only 45 degree angle and immediately going back with your torso and follow your boleo.
So you can start with your back, okay? And then start by having that contour position on the floor. You can try it with both legs. So see that we have a sharp return here, okay? And you can also, of course, do everything in the air. Or the other sides. Try to do everything from moving from the back, okay? Because it'll be very easy to do everything based on the leg movement, but we really try to have the boleo as a consequence of upper body movements, okay? So I try not to go with the leg. See, that was initiated with the leg. I could also do it the wrong version in the air. I could do this. You see, that was initiated from the lower body, but I really try to have that initiation from the contour movement. So it has a completely different quality to it.
And of course, it's better quality if you don't hit the cat with your foot.
To hit the cat?
Yes, with a cat.
No,
Yes.
a cat!
You have a
I
cat.
will not stand for it. I love cats.
Well, that's
If
my
it's a
point.
dog, it's okay.
That's my point. Don't hit the cat. Don't hit the cat. Okay, let's have a little look at let's do this with music. Right? Okay, right. So,
It's getting hot in here in the studio.
it's getting hot. Yeah, no, it's nice.
I really feel the
Nice.
temperatures
Like it.
changing. Springtime, we
Like
like
it.
it.
Yes.
I need to have a sip of water.
Okay.
Be right back.
All right. So we're going to change one dimension because we're going to do not the back but the front boleo. So how does it work? Basically, what you've seen so far, Paula doing is the boleo with the leg going back. The front boleo, she's going to show again for followers, is going to be, as the name implies, this thing here before your recorrido, your return, if you like, of the leg. So I'm going to show you first in terms of footwork for the leader, something that we have started to touch upon on Sunday. I'm going to go with the other leg this time. So I'm going to go with the right forwards in a sacada. Let's have a look. I'm going to go rebound, and then I'm going to go side and the ball over here. So maybe I can show you first. So I'm going to go into forward throw for the lady. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So now that I have two things happening here. I think it's easier with you, so I can explain.
Sure. No problem.
First of all, have the actual rebound. I come back and I go contra, which means against her movement. So her body basically is pivoting towards this way, so clockwise, and I go around her counterclockwise.
So we get this position here that the hips are still turning. Now the boleo is a consequence of the extra pivot and the opposite energy going around. So my upper body is going around whilst the hips are still turning to the right. My upper body goes to the left. So what we get is this. And then let's just show a few times. So we have this and back. So yeah, you see? So now the weight of the leg in the boleo, the natural weight of the leg is returning. Yeah, so if I relax the leg from the knee down, that I can get a sharp boleo, and then the natural weight of the leg will make it come back.
Okay, so let's go back to leaders for a second. I'm going to go sacada, come back to my sacada, I change my weight and I go around. I wait for her, I leave my left here for decoration, and I go forward, and I'm probably going to be leading across here. One more time on this angle. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So basically, of course, the challenge for leaders is the fact that as I'm going forward, I need to be quite quick before I go back here. So this rebound is 1 and 2, and then I lead the contra movement here. Can I show it one more time? Here, I'm going to lead my sacada and the rebound. I go around her, and off we go here. One more time, this angle. Here, here, here. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, so if you want to do it by yourself for the followers, well, what happens here, it's a ocho forward, so we're going around the leader, but we have an ocho forward. And then what happens is we have a contra boleo. So my upper body starts to turn the other way, but my hips still did not finish the rotation. So let me show you one more time. And now, don't do anything just from the leg, okay? Don't cause the boleo generating the movement from the leg, but starting from the rotation. So you have stepping forward and rotation. So you engage much more the back.
So let's do it a few times. Maybe if you do it here, do it for leaders.
Okay.
And they can actually practice depending on their rules. Let's do it. So you don't have to be necessarily coordinated. It's fine. Let's do it. So I'm going to do forward show, 1 and 2 and 3. And again, here, forward show, 1 and 2, 3. Again, here, 1 and 2, 3. 1 and 2, 3. Here. 1 and 2, 3. Together,
Can I
maybe?
try the other side?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So we can exercise both
Yeah.
sides.
Of course.
And we'll go together, yeah?
So, here. 1 and 2 and 3. And again, forward show, rebound, change of weight, and we go with the left forward. So let's do it together, shall we?
Yeah.
And we change the song for a moment. Let's do it this one.
Okay. Oh, nice.
I like it.
Ah, you do. I like it.
Did we?
Where are you watching this video from, right?
I think we did, huh?
We did.
I think so.
Okay, well, I'm a little bit behind.
It's alright, okay?
Okay, oh well, you know, it's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot, it affects your memory.
It's fine. We can see twice. So,
this is what happens, guys. You know, we cannot edit anything of this. This is all live. It's all well.
It's perfect. It's good. So, this was our second, boleo, where we are going on the other leg, and we went from back boleo to forward boleo. Note that basically in this case we use the forward ocho for the front boleo, and we use the back ocho atrás for the back boleo. Okay, this is something maybe to remember easily in case we need to. So, shall we maybe move on to our next?
I think so.
Yeah? Okay, let's try then. So, I'm going to change one dimension again, which is, I'm not going to use rotation. Okay? Now, this is a little bit more tricky, especially if you are in a really limited space. So, to start this kind of boleo, I like to kind of say that in a milonga, to use this one, you need to be very careful that you have enough space behind the follower. It's very important because it takes a lot of space, and followers is also your responsibility. I know it's most of the responsibility falls onto the
It's 50-50
leaders. Yes, exactly. If you don't feel there is space behind you, do not take any risk ever. This is very important because the last thing we want is anyone being hurt, and we all believe that a kick with a high heel is never pleasant. So keep it safe.
And it will also not be pleasant for your kitchen table, especially if it's made out of glass.
And the cat.
And the cat.
I don't know why I'm thinking about cats today. Cat. I don't know. What is it? Okay. So it's going to be a linear boleo and not a circular one. So basically the idea is I'm going to send my partner's leg this way. So note that not much is happening. When you look at me, it looks like not much is happening because I'm quite still, if not going slightly back. But actually, a lot is happening in the armrest, of course. So I'm going to explain how it works. Let's show it a few more times. And this is where you need to make sure that you have a lot of space behind you, please. Don't take risks. Pum, pum, pum. So, how do I lead my partner to do this boleo? Basically, again, I'm going to use one fundamental element of boleo, which is the contra energy. What it means, as we mentioned very briefly earlier, is that basically I'm going to lead my partner to go somewhere, and as she's going, I'm going to send her the opposite information. So basically, let's put it this way. I'm telling her, please go forward, but actually, no, please go back. So this creates this tension in the body, which helps her understand that something needs to give. And basically what we are playing with as a leader for the boleo, the contra energy, is the residual weight of the leg. What it means here is basically, I'm going to, if I show it in this instance here, maybe here, this way, I'm going to launch the leg here, and I'm going to say, actually, no, we go back. Can you see? This creates a little bit of pendulum. If I was to just lead it forward, she would just go and step. But what I'm doing, I'm starting the step, and I'm creating the opposite information where she says, oh, actually, she feels I'm pushing her the opposite direction, therefore the residual weight of the leg, of the foot, is going a bit.
Let's have a look at the movement to the back. Okay, let's show it this way, if you're okay with it.
Yeah. So, this is how it's going to happen. I'm going to go forward in parallel system, and I'm actually using the inner leg. She's on my right, and this is where I'm going. I'm going with the right forwards, and I'm going to do a step which is not too small. So let's make it a little bit this way so that we don't kick anything. And I'm going to do a step which is not too small, and as soon as I start going, I'm going to go back with my axis. Here, I go back here. So that creates the sensation that we are stretching the embrace, stretching, and then she feels, alright, she can't go, therefore she's going to stand the leg.
Yeah, so the leg actually goes back completely straight, and the boleo happens at the end. So I will try and achieve that position by my own doing, okay? But it's because the leg is sent back and then with the energy forward, so it's really hard to do it slowly. So I'm sent to the back, and then as soon as I feel the energy sending me forward, then I'm going through the center and the knee is returning, okay? With residual energy like Bruno was saying. Okay, so we have back and forward.
Should we do it like a little bit more? So that's the practice.
Yeah,
bit?
sure. So yes, you can also do the forward one, which would
Yes.
be more like a patada. Maybe you can demonstrate the forward one. Okay. So let me show you on both sides. It's really hard to do this slowly, but you can try just to understand the timing of the movement. However, it would be really hard to get the right timing for it. So I'm standing back, the leg goes, and then you see that moment, then the upper body starts being sent forward. That's going to translate on that leg going up. You see, that's like a boomerang.
So as we now know, when Paula uses her boomerang, it creates noises.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know.
I just thought it would add a little extra effect.
I'd love to.
I have no idea why. I'm so bad.
I love to try boomerang. I haven't tried boomerang for a long time. Okay, so this is how it works for leaders. I'm going to go forward with a real kind of energy in my step. I go with intent, so she feels the energy sending her there. But as I'm going to immediately go back with my torso. So I don't go here and I come back because it's too late, then she might actually miss the occasion for the boleo. I'm going to feel or to think of it as a rebound, yes? As a rebound here and I go back. Here and I go back. Now here, I wait for her before I project with the back leg here because it takes a bit of time. And the last thing that you want is a kind of a fail boleo where the leg is going way up and then she feels she has no time.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd like to add one more thing for followers.
Yes, actually, we have a few things as well.
Yes, is the fact that be careful that as Paula mentioned, maybe in my words, it would be that as you go back with your leg, the torso is waiting for the leg to arrive in axis. Basically, do not start going with the torso because then you're going to stumble forward. Wait for the leg to go back before the torso is moving together with the leg.
Yes, and always come back to that standing leg. So when you have that and the boleo, now I am going to go through the standing leg. So don't go straight forward, but from here, so you have the boleo, collects, and then going on to the next, so you can have proper finishing of the step. One thing that I forgot to say, excuse me.
And then we try, please.
And then we try.
I can't wait, I can't wait.
Okay, so basically, it's the left side of my embrace. As you know, we talk about this all the time. There's a lot of information going through the back of the leader, right? And mine as well, if I connect my arms with my back. So what happens here is, if I turn you around, my left side has to be very active to react when he is going away, so that we create a little bit of an elastic here, so that I am not, you see, unattending this side, because it's going to be really hard to come back. So I need to press a little bit towards the shoulder blade of the leader, and I feel he's also resisting, slightly retracting from the embrace.
I'm going a little bit back, therefore she feels this. It could be seen as a tiny bit of a colgada moment here.
I was going to say that.
I'm in your head.
Just
I'm in your head.
moment.
I'm in your head. I know you. Okay, so this is what happens. 1, 2, I wait for her, and then we go together. It can be as simple as forward to the right, and then side to finish as simple as that, yes.
So, and also, as we were saying before, with the boleos, with the free leg, never have too much space in the relationship left and right, but always close, crossing behind. Of course, the leg can go higher or lower, and that means the distance is going to be different here or here if I'm talking about the relationship with the knees. Okay, but in this way, I always keep that space closed. Otherwise, what we see is this. You see, if I rotate the leg or if I have it open. So we really try to have that leg behind, slightly crossing behind.
Okay.
And now we go for it.
Mouse. right, thank you. So, this is the linear bolero. So what have we played with so far? We started with this bolero, where it's a rotation and playing with contra energy here. Okay? We then had a look at changing one dimension, which is from front to back, sorry, it's from back to front bolero, which was this one here. Here, palm, and then there. Now what we did now is something which is more, we're playing with one dimension, which is the rotation or lack of, in which case it's a no rotation bolero.
Also called linear bolero.
Also called linear bolero, where I just send the leg, and I come back here. Okay. Now, of course, something that is sometimes happening in songs is when the song goes and the phrase is not finished, and I did a bolero, I can start trying something which is a little bit more complicated for the follower, which is repeated boleros. It's very, very kind of interesting because it allows me to end the phrase without entering into a new step. Let's say I do a step in, for example, beat 5 of the phrase. I want to go, and the music goes ta 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 ta. I'm not going to enter into something new. I want to finish with the same idea. So something which is an interesting idea in tango is, and of course, this will be part of our musicality series in the future, but it's the fact that
Hint, musicality series.
It is coming.
I think we would like that.
No, it is coming. It is planned. It's planned. So, in terms of musicality, when you have a good idea, it's normally a good idea, actually, to have this good idea, to finish with the same idea. Yes? In other terms.
Which is a good idea.
Which is a good idea. Which is a good idea. So, basically what you do here is, if you have done a bolero because it goes well with the music and the music keeps with the same idea of going with pom, 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 it actually doesn't make sense to suddenly go and do something else. So just like finish with the same idea. It's the same with ochos. If the music doesn't change, has a certain pattern until the end of the phrase, it's not a bad thing to finish with the same idea. If you started with ochos, finish with ochos, for example. So this is how it's going to work. Okay? So we are going to show you once, and then basically we can explain a little bit in terms of body movement, because for the follower it's a little bit more complex for balance, and of course for leaders it's very, very tricky. Well, it's not very tricky, it's a bit trickier because you need to be very, very precise in terms of where you are associating, around which basically pivot axis you are going to turn. So this is where I'm going to introduce the concept of hinges in 1 second. Let's first show it. So let's say I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to do this here before maybe finishing it. Note that in this case, it's not by chance that I open the embrace, because I don't necessarily enjoy being kicked in the knee, and therefore I give you plenty of space.
I think that would be very strange if you would.
Yes. I'm very, yes, I don't know, I'm not too much into getting hit in the knee. So in this case, this is why I'm going to create a little bit of space here so that she has the sensation that is safe for her as well, because it's safe for her. She's not going to do it if she feels there's not enough space.
So the bolero has to happen under your own space, either at the front or at the back. Okay, let me show you in the bar. It's a little bit funny to do it without a leader here. So what happens is I'm going to go into this motion here, and as you can see, it's much faster, and it's also very, very tight. So it's completely different from the linear bolero we were doing before. Now we are coming back to that circular bolero, and it's also contra. So it's a little bit tricky because it's happening on each moment, hopefully with the timing of the leader matching the timing of the follower, or the timing of the follower matching the timing of the leader. So what happens here is that I have a contra here and here. So my upper body goes to the left, whilst I'm still finishing to the bolero to the opposite side. So I have here, 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 here,
So in other terms, the hips are always turning in the opposite direction of the torso.
Yes, and it's fast, so feel free to start a little bit slow, understand the mechanic of the movement first.
So for leaders, what happens is basically we need to be very precise. What is best, perhaps, in this step is to have our legs apart, because we need to constantly go from one leg to the other. So I'm going to go right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg quite quickly, and I'm going to have to match the rotation here. So basically what's the secret of this repeat boleo, if you like, is that the lady, or the follower I should say, is always going to feel that I'm sending her in the opposite direction of where she's going. See, if the torso is going in this direction, already I send it in the opposite direction. If she started to rotate this direction, I'm going to send her to the opposite direction. So I'm constantly giving her a contra energy where she feels that there is not enough time to complete the movement and then stop. She's feeling the boleo because I'm constantly asking her to change direction from clockwise to counterclockwise in her ocho.
And if I can add one thing,
yes,
is that, remember what we talked about, the pull and the push? We have to have a very compressed frame here. Even though the pull and the push are present, we can't have too much energy outside the embrace.
Absolutely. So I mentioned earlier one way that I see leading in tango. I use a lot the concept of hinges, which I like very much. It explains a lot. Basically what I'm going to do is visualize in my head the hinge of my partner. In this case, she's going to be onto her right leg, yeah, right leg, and I'm going to always want to go around this hinge. So this hinge here is going to be at equidistance between my left and my right shoulder. I'm not going to go away from this hinge here or forward towards the hinge. I'm going to stay around, and what I'm going to do is a bit like the hero of the follower, in fact. I'm going to go constantly with this in the center and constantly go around and around and around here. I'm not going to go away one side or the other. Basically, my torso is doing a little bit of an arch around her.
Because what happens if you do, the axis of the follower is going to be massively affected, and we really like
to stay in axis.
To stay on axis, leaders, in case you don't know yet, but I think you do, you suspect.
Unless you want to do a cut, of course.
Oh yes, but it's a different situation, not really a boleo, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to indicate to her to do boleo here, palm, and here, and here, and here, and here.
So there is really different actions here. The pull, so you have the pull, and then the push. So we have push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. You see? It might not be very visible, which is a good thing if it's not very visible, but it's there. And it keeps the unit of the frame, which is fabulous.
Fabulous. Last thing for leaders, this hand, this arm, this side of my embrace, the left arm is working much more than the right. The right, I need to be very stable for my partner. This is why I have my feet really firmly on the ground. But I'm not going to use the right part of my embrace, because if I start pushing her, she will fall. So basically, why is it that? It's actually the same in many kind of steps in tango, where I'm using the left part of my embrace because it's much less intrusive. This means please come. Yes? This is the same when you do parada. Remember parada, you're here. You use the left part of your embrace, always leaders, to say please come here. So you probably are thinking, well, but hold on, I thought that the embrace is one set unit. Yes, but there are also often cases or times when one part of the embrace is working more than the other. And this is a very important concept to understand. And in this case, in the case of the parada, I'm always going to use the left part. Why? Because it's inviting her in a very non-obtrusive way. And I'm never going to use this hand here and start pushing her there, because then I completely make her stumble.
It's very uncomfortable, very.
Exactly. So in the case of the boleo, it's exactly the same thing. I'm using mostly the left part of my embrace. I need to initiate the boleo, and the right is quite strong, but I'm not pushing her with the right part here. How do we exit? We don't, until the end of the song.
We don't.
For 30
5
seconds.
minutes, so that would be a really good workout.
Ah, yes.
Some ideas for next Tuesday, class.
Yes, so you're here, and you might want to do a few of them, and then maybe a side step forward for ladies or for fellows.
And we ran out of time.
Already? Oh wow,
It's
okay.
it's always so fast. So, okay guys, we're going to demonstrate for you what we've done today. Before we close the class, we really want to ask to please buy a ticket for this class. It's the only way that we can keep doing these classes. So let's show them the link.
Okay, sure.
So if you don't know it yet, you might already be familiar. Not the bienvenidos. That is the wrong one. That's just for the beginning of the class.
Okay, here we go.
So let's run through it quickly. So the first link is the link you can visit to pay for a ticket. If you have not done yet, please do so. This is our only source of income at the moment, and we really appreciate and would help us a lot. However, if this is a little bit of a difficult time for you and you really can't, okay, then please, if you could leave a review, we would really appreciate.
Okay, now quickly, because we've done this before, Instagram, Tango Academy, Paula Duarte Tango are two profiles. Now I recommend you take a look today because Paula just published a very funny video that is actually showing the behind the scene of preparing this class. So you'll be shocked. Right, now last one but not least, this is the link that is actually showing you where to go if you have missed a lesson. We've uploaded, I believe, more than 15 now lessons, coming from milonga to slow tangos, fast tangos, lots of technique, workouts, so lots of things happening. Have a look. Okay.
Okay, so we see you. Our next class is our Friday technique. So,
Adornos.
I don't know.
I love the topic.
Okay, what's the
For
topic?
him and her.
For him and her. I love it. It's like gifts for him and gifts for her, like on Valentine's Day.
I don't know exactly it.
BOLEOS for him, BOLEOS for her, adornos for him, adornos for her. I love it.
Alright.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Sending you a lot of love. And
Stay safe and let's have a little dance, shall we?
Ah, yes.
Of course. This is my favorite moment. Alright, let's do it.
No son juguetes de amor, pero has de saber, tienen corazón, así que la ven, el bastón de la gente, y anda y el placer, no hagas papelón. No pretenden para ni para revivir, pero
you on Friday.
See you Friday. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining. Have a good night.